the silence around I Am Legend 2 is cracking open again. And this time, the story isn't asking how humanity survives. It's asking whether humanity was ever meant to dominate again at all. Stay with me, because by the end of this breakdown, you might realize this sequel isn't about monsters in the dark. It's about irrelevance. Welcome back to Screenscope Reviews, where stories don't just continue, they transform. For years, I Am Legend ended one way in the public imagination. Robert Neville alone in his lab. A final sacrifice. A cure delivered at the cost of his life. Heroic. Tragic. Complete. But that ending isn't the one moving forward. The confirmed direction for the sequel follows the alternate ending, where Neville survives. And that single change reframes everything. He's no longer a martyr preserved in memory. He's a man forced to live with what he did. The experiments. The cages. The belief that he was humanity's last line of defense. Except now, the world he tried to save may not need saving at all. Because the Dark Seekers didn't vanish. They evolved. Emerging story details suggest these beings now communicate, organize, and protect their own. There are signs of colonies, patterns in movement, even primitive architecture rising from the ruins. This isn't extinction. It's adaptation. And suddenly, Neville's cure looks less like salvation. And more like disruption. Opposite him stands a new generational voice, played by Michael B. Jordan, a man who never knew the old world of traffic jams and office towers. He grew up after the collapse. To him, overgrown cities aren't tragic. They're natural. The infected aren't monsters. They're neighbors in a reshaped ecosystem. To this generation, Neville isn't a legend. He's a relic. And that's where the real conflict ignites. Not survival versus destruction. But definition versus evolution. Who decides what human means now? Is it intelligence? Emotion? DNA? And if another species develops memory, culture, and community, do they still qualify as a disease? Insiders suggest the sequel leans heavily into philosophy. Fewer explosions. More quiet confrontations. Long conversations inside buildings swallowed by green. Vines drape glass towers. Wildlife claims highways. Laboratories glow with sunlight instead of fear. The imagery doesn't scream apocalypse. It whispers rebirth. And then there's the rumor that could define the entire film. A hybrid child, not fully human, not fully evolved Dark Seeker. Something in between. If that's true, the future isn't about replacement. It's about merging. Neville's cure didn't fail. It redirected evolution. And in that future, the greatest fear isn't annihilation. It's obsolescence. What happens when the world adapts beyond you? When your purpose no longer fits the reality growing around you? That's the emotional core of I Am Legend 2. A man who believed he was humanity's last hope. Now facing the truth that the world didn't end. It moved on. So now I ask you. Was Neville right to see the infected as something that needed curing? If a new species builds families and communities, do they deserve the same right to exist? And in this new world, who is truly clinging to the past? Drop your thoughts below. Like, share, and subscribe to Screenscope Reviews. Because this legend isn't just returning. It's evolving.